Hello students, a warm welcome to this channel. In this video we are going to learn about sexual reproduction in flowering plants chapter 2 in biology class 12 textbook. It is the part 1 of this lesson. Come on, let us move on to the chapter. Androecium. It is the male reproductive organ of a flower. It consists of a whorl of stamens. A stamen consists of two parts, the filament and the anther. The long and slender stalk is called the filament. The bilobed structure present at the upper tip of the filament is called anther. Here, a typical diagram of a stamen is given. In this, you can see the filament and the anther, and in the right hand side a cross section of the stamen is given. There you can see the line of dehiscence. The proximal, in other words, what is meant by proximal? The nearby end of the filament is attached to the thalamus or the petal. A typical angiosperm anther is bilobed. It has got two lobes. Each lobe again has got two theca. What is meant by theca? A kind of compartment. So they are called dithecous. The anther is a four-sided structure. Four-sided. In geometry, we would have learned tetragonal. What is meant by a four? How do we call a four-sided structure? Tetragonal. It consists of four microsporangia located at corners. So in each and every anther, four more microsporangia are present. Each lobe has two microsporangia, and again each and every lobe has got two theca. So on the whole, an anther consists of four microsporangia. The microsporangia develop further and become pollen sacs. The pollen sacs are packed with pollen grains. So pollen grains are found in pollen sacs. Structure of microsporangium. In the left hand side, a simple representative diagram of a microsporangium is given. In that, the four layers are also labeled: epidermis, endothecium, then comes the middle layers. Then the innermost layer is called tapetum, is also labeled. In the right hand side, a magnified and enlarged image of a part of the microsporangium is given. Here also the parts are neatly labeled. The outermost layer epidermis, then comes the endothecium, then come the middle layers, and finally we have got tapetum. Structure of microsporangium. A typical microsporangium appears almost circular in outline. It is generally surrounded by four wall layers. They are the epidermis, the endothecium, the middle layers, and the tapetum. The outermost three layers perform two functions. One is to protect the anther, another one is they help in the dehiscence of anther to release the pollen. Now, we have come across a new term called dehiscence. What is meant by dehiscence? Dispersal of seeds by splitting. Let us take the example of a lady's finger. Unlike other fruits, the fruit of a lady's finger plant gets dried and finally it splits and the seeds are thrown out. This process is known as dehiscence. Structure of microsporangium. The innermost wall layer is tapetum. It nourishes the developing pollen grains. It gives all kinds of nourishment to the growing pollen grains. Cells of the tapetum possess dense cytoplasm and has got more than one nucleus. When the anther is young, A group of compactly arranged homogeneous cells called sporogenous tissue occupies the center of each microsporangium. When the anther is not matured and is young, a group of compactly arranged homogeneous cells. It is called as sporogenous tissue. This sporogenous tissue is present at the center of each microsporangium. Here comes a picture of a microspore tetrad. What is meant by a microspore tetrad? 4 microspores, they get clustered to form an arrangement called a tetrad. So in a tetrad, we can see 4 microspores attached closely to each other. Microsporogenesis. Come on, let us see what is meant by microsporogenesis. As the anther develops, the cells of the sporogenous tissue undergo meiotic divisions to form microspore tetrads. How are microspore tetrads are formed? As the anther develops, the cells of the sporogenous tissue, they undergo continuous meiotic divisions and they form microspore tetrads. Now, each and every cell of the sporogenous tissue is capable of giving birth to a microspore tetrad. So, microspore tetrad is formed from each and every cell of the sporogenous tissue. So, the cells of the sporogenous tissue are called potential pollens or microspore mother cells. Now, what is meant by microsporogenesis? The process of formation of microspores from a pollen mother cell, that is PEM, through meiosis is called microsporogenesis. These microspores, which are formed from pollen mother cells, are arranged in a cluster of 4 cells called the microspore tetrad. As the anthers mature and dehydrate, when the anthers mature, they become dehydrated. They lose much of the water content from them. By this time, the microspores present in a microspore tetrad, they dissociate or they separate from each other and develop into pollen grains. Each microsporangium contains several thousands of microspores or pollen grains. So in each and every microsporangium, thousands of microspores, otherwise pollen grains are present. They are released with the dehiscence of anther. Pollen grain. The pollen grains represent the male gametophytes. They are spherical in shape and they are 25 to 50 micrometers in diameter. A pollen grain has got 2 prominent layers. It has a prominent 2-layered wall. The hard outer layer is called the exine. Exine is made up of sporopollenin. Sporopollenin is one of the most resistant organic material ever discovered on earth. It can withstand high temperatures, strong acids and strong alkali. No enzyme can harm pollen grain. Exine has prominent apertures called germ spores. The outer wall called exine is not a continuous one because it has got tiny holes, pores on its surface. These apertures or tiny holes are called germ pores. In these germ pores, sporopollenin is not present. Due to the presence of sporopollenin only, pollen grains are well preserved as fossils for many years. Now, if we look closely at the structure of the pollen grain by means of a powered microscope, the exam shows a fascinating array of patterns and designs. So, a fascinating array of patterns and designs is found in the outer layer called exine. Then comes the inner wall. The inner wall of the pollen grain is called as intine. Intine is a thin and continuous layer. Unlike exine, which is very thick and hard, it is thin, and also it is a continuous layer. But exine is not a continuous layer, as it has got tiny pores called germ pores on its surface. Intine is made up of cellulose and pectin. Exine is made up of sporopollenin, but intine is made up of cellulose and pectin. The cytoplasm of the pollen grain is surrounded by a plasma membrane. When the pollen grain is mature, it contains two cells. When the pollen grain is mature, it contains two cells. One is the vegetative cell, the another one is the generative cell. Here, a typical picture of a pollen grain is given. In that, the two cells are there. The vegetative cell, which is comparatively larger in size, and comes the generative cell, which is so small and occupies a small portion of the pollen grain. The vegetative and generative cells. The vegetative cell is bigger and has got abundant food reserve. It has a large, irregularly shaped nucleus, whereas the generative cell is small and floats in the cytoplasm of the vegetative cell. It is spindle in shape. The vegetative cell is irregularly shaped, but this generative cell is spindle in shape with the dense cytoplasm and a nucleus. Now comes the very important point: two-celled stage and three-celled stage. What is meant by these two terms? In over 60% of the angiosperms, pollen grains are shed at two-cell stage. What is meant by two-cell stage? When they contain only two cells, that is the vegetative and generative cells. But in the remaining 40% of the angiosperms, the generative cell divides mitotically and produces two male gametes before the pollen grains are shed. Now what happens? How many cells are there? Already a vegetative and a generative cell is there, so it is a two-cell stage. But here what happens is the generative cell divides mitotically and produces two male gametes. So these two male gametes and the vegetative cell altogether they comprise three cells. That's why it is called as the three-cell stage. So in 40% of the angiosperms, the pollen grains are shed at the three-cell stage. That's what is given over here. Now the number of cells has become 3. So the pollen grains are shed at three-cell stage in 40% of the angiosperms. But in 60% of the angiosperms, they are shed at two-cell stage. Merits and demerits of pollen grains. Pollen grains are rich in nutrients. Nowadays people start using pollen tablets and food supplements. Pollen consumption increases the performances of athletes and racehorses. Pollen grains of many species cause severe allergies and bronchial disorders. These are the demerits of pollen grains. Parthenium or carrot grass they call came into India as a contaminant with imported wheat. Long ago, when wheat was imported to India, this Parthenium came along with wheat grain as a contaminant. But now it is found everywhere and causes pollen allergy. Viability of pollen grains. What is meant by the term viability? The capacity of a pollen grain to remain active. This is known as viability. In some cereals such as rice and wheat, pollen grains lose viability within 30 minutes of their release. But in some cases, in some families of plants like Rosaceae, Leguminosae and Solanaceae, the viability lasts for months. Pollen grains can be stored for years in liquid nitrogen. Actually, nitrogen is a gas. When it is compressed under high pressure, it becomes liquid. So, in this liquid nitrogen, pollen grains can be stored for years at a very low temperature, minus 196 degrees Celsius. Such stored pollen can be used as pollen banks in crop breeding programs. You might have come across crop breeding programs. What is meant by crop breeding programs? Breeding crops with the desired characteristics by means of hybridization. In these programs, the desired pollen grains are needed time to time. So, for this purpose, the pollen grains which are stored in pollen banks can be used as and when they are needed. So, with this session comes to an end. We'll see the rest of the portion in the second video of this series. Keep watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends. It will be of much useful in this lockdown period.
Like, share and comment and subscribe our channel and click the bell button for more videos. Thank you.